The biological contamination alarm shrieked through Waste Processing Bay 7 at 0400 hours, and Kres-vel's antennae immediately shot upright in alarm. His 6 compound eyes adjusted to the dim industrial lighting as he scuttled between the compression units, mandibles clicking in irritation. Unauthorized biological matter. In the waste bay, his segmented tail coiled tight with professional concern. He found the human crouched behind disposal unit 12, her back suspiciously turned, both arms cradled around something. Technician Willa, Kres-vel said, his antennae twitching forward. Step away from the contaminated material. Willa jumped, whirled around, and immediately tried to hide whatever she was holding behind her back. This made her lose balance. She windmilled her arms, still clutching the thing, and crashed sideways into a recycling bin. Officer Kres-vel, hi, hello. Nothing weird happening here. Kres-vel's chitin darkened slightly. Humans were terrible liars. The bioscanner detected unauthorized organic matter. Show me what you are concealing. It's not concealing if I'm just holding something. That's called holding. Willa, okay, but you have to promise not to overreact. Kres-vel's antennae drooped. Every time a human said that, something caught fire. I do not overreact. I react appropriately to safety violations. Willa slowly brought her arms forward. Nestled in her palms was a tiny orange and black striped creature barely larger than her hand. It had enormous blue-green eyes, a pink nose, and was making small squeaking sounds. Kres-vel's mandibles froze mid-click. Isn't he precious? Willa whispered, her face doing that soft thing humans did around small creatures. I found him in the dumpster. The dumpster, Kres-vel. Someone threw him away. That is... Kres-vel's antennae vibrated. Willa, that is an Earth Tiger. Tiger cub, Willa corrected, as if the distinction mattered. Baby. See? Baby. She held it closer to Kres-vel. The tiny predator mewed and reached one paw toward Kres-vel's face. Its claws were visible. Kres-vel backed up so fast he crashed into a compression unit. Earth tigers are apex predators, Kres-vel managed, his tail coiling into a tight spiral. Class 7 Death World fauna. They grow to 300 kilograms. This one's like 3 kilograms, Willa said, stroking the creature's head with one finger. It purred. The sound vibrated through the waste bay like a tiny engine. Look at his little beans. Beans? Willa turned the creature over. It squirmed in her hands, revealing pink toe pads. Toe beans. They're pink, Kres-vel. Pink. The coloration of its extremities does not reduce its biological threat level. Someone abandoned him, Willa said, her voice dropping to that dangerous soft register humans use before doing something catastrophically stupid. Just left him in the trash. What kind of monster does that? A rational person who understands developmental biology, Kres-vel said. His antennae were vibrating so fast they blurred. Willa, you must return it to. Where did you even find an Earth Tiger? We are 4 sectors from Sol System. Exactly. Willa cuddled the creature closer. It grabbed her finger with one tiny paw and refused to let go. He's lost. Alone. Scared. The creature yawned, showing teeth like tiny needles, then tried to bite Willa's thumb. It is attempting to predate you, Kres-vel said. He's teething. I named him Kito. You named it, him, and yes, Kito. It means precious in... Actually, I don't remember which Earth language, but it sounds right. Kres-vel's chitin had darkened to almost black. Willa, Station Regulation 42 subsection 9 clearly states that abandoned animals can be temporarily housed pending relocation services, Willa finished. And since there are no Earth animal services for 4 sectors, temporary could mean, a while. That regulation refers to standard fauna, domesticated creatures. Not, Kres-vel gestured with one arm at Kito, who was now chewing on Willa's sleeve. Not obligate carnivores from death worlds. All cats are obligate carnivores, Willa said. Doesn't make them dangerous. Earth tigers have been documented killing creatures 4 times their adult mass. When he's an adult, right now he couldn't kill a sandwich. Willa paused. Actually, he definitely could kill a sandwich. But that's it, just sandwiches. Kito chose that moment to lock eyes with Kres-vel's twitching antennae. The cub's pupils dilated. Its tiny body went very still. Willa, Kres-vel said slowly, it is exhibiting stalking behavior. No, he's just, Kito lunged. The tiny predator launched itself from Willa's arms directly at Kres-vel's face. Kres-vel shrieked, a chittering sound that echoed through the waste bay, and stumbled backward. His tail whipped around and caught a recycling bin, sending it crashing across the floor. Kito landed on Kres-vel's chest, all 4 paws gripping his chitin, and immediately began attacking his left antenna with both paws. Get it off, Kres-vel wheezed, his mandibles clicking in panic. Get the death beast off. Willa scooped Kito up. The cub dangled from her hands, purring aggressively. One of Kres-vel's antenna scales caught in its claws. He likes you, Willa said brightly. Kres-vel's antenna hung at a crooked angle. His chitin had gone so dark he was nearly invisible in the dim lighting. That was an attack pattern. That was playing. I am filing an incident report. He's 3 kilograms, Kres-vel. He will not remain 3 kilograms. Kres-vel straightened his antenna with one hand, wincing as his exoskeleton plates scraped together. Earth tigers reach sexual maturity at approximately 3 Earth years. This specimen appears to be perhaps 6 Earth weeks old. Do you understand the mathematical implications? Willa looked down at Kito, who was now trying to fit her entire thumb in his mouth. That I have him for 3 whole years before I need to worry? That you have him for 3 years before he can kill you efficiently? Kres-vel corrected. Currently he can merely maim. You're being dramatic. I am being accurate. Kres-vel pulled up his wrist display, chitin clicking as he typed. I am escalating this to Commander Thesic. There are protocols, regulations, common sense. Wait, Willa stepped forward. Kito clutched to her chest. Kres-vel, please. Look at him. Kres-vel looked. Kito looked back with enormous blue-green eyes. The cub tilted its head, making a small questioning chirp. He's a baby, Willa said quietly. Someone threw him away like garbage. He was in the dumpster, Kres-vel. Cold. Alone. His little paw grabbed my finger and wouldn't let go. Her voice cracked slightly. I can't just put him back. Kres-vel's antennae drooped. This was emotional manipulation. Humans were dangerously effective at emotional manipulation, especially when holding small creatures with disproportionately large eyes. There must be proper channels, Kres-vel tried. Proper channels take weeks. He needs food now, warmth, safety. He needs a xenobiological containment facility. He needs love, Willa said, and Kres-vel knew with absolute certainty that he had lost this argument. His mandibles clicked in resignation. Temporary housing only. Pending review by Station Command. Willa's face lit up. Really? Temporary, Kres-vel emphasized. And I am assigning myself as safety supervisor, daily inspections, strict containment protocols, any deviation, and... Kito squeaked. Both of them looked down. The cub had somehow freed itself from Willa's grip and was now sitting on her boot, looking up at them with an expression of profound innocence. See? Willa said. Gentle as a... Kito pounced on Kres-vel's tail. The next 5 minutes involved Kres-vel running in circles through the waste bay while a 3-kilogram predator clung to his segmented tail like it was the galaxy's most exciting prey. Willa chased both of them, apologizing profusely, while Kito made delighted chirping sounds and refused to let go. They finally cornered the cub behind a compression unit. Kito sat down, licked one paw, and began grooming itself as if nothing had happened. Daily inspections, Kres-vel repeated, his antennae hanging limp with exhaustion. His tail had several small puncture marks. Starting tomorrow. Tomorrow? Willa scooped up Kito, who immediately began purring. Why not now? Because I need to file 17 separate incident reports and possibly update my will. Willa grinned. You're going to love him. Everyone loves Kito. Kres-vel's chitin darkened again as he watched the tiny Earth Tiger yawn, showing all its needle teeth, then curl up in Willa's arms like the universe's most dangerous stuffed toy. That is what I am afraid of, he muttered. The next morning, Kres-vel arrived at Willa's quarters at precisely 0700 hours, incident report pad in hand and tail coiled defensively. Willa answered the door in sleeve clothes, hair pointing in multiple directions, with Kito draped across her shoulders like an orange and black scarf. Good morning, Willa yawned. Want coffee? I want to conduct a safety inspection, Kres-vel said. His antennae were already twitching with anticipation of disaster. Willa's quarters were small standard human accommodation, one room with sleeping area, workstation, and minimal storage. She had attempted to create what she called a habitat for Kito, using a laundry basket, several towels, and what appeared to be a stolen heat lamp from hydroponics. Habitat requirements inadequate, Kres-vel said, making notes. Thermal regulation insufficient. No reinforced containment barriers. No emergency suppression systems. He's a baby, not a reactor core. He is more dangerous than a reactor core. Reactor cores do not actively hunt. Kito chose that moment to wake up. The cub lifted its head from Willa's shoulder, spotted Kres-vel, and its pupils dilated to enormous black pools. No, Kres-vel said, backing toward the door. No, we are not playing. Kito launched. This time, Kres-vel was ready. He sidestepped. Kito sailed past him, landed on Willa's desk, skidded through a stack of datapads, and crashed into a coffee mug. The mug tipped over. Kito pounced on the rolling container like it had personally insulted his ancestry. Playful, Willa said. See? Just playing. That was the calculated attack vector, Kres-vel said, but his antennae had relaxed slightly. Kito was now wrestling with the mug, all 4 paws engaged, making tiny growling sounds. Willa sat down on her sleeping pad. Want to see what he can do? I very much do not. Willa picked up a small fabric toy, looked like a mouse, common human design. She tossed it across the room. Kito's head snapped around. The cub went absolutely still. Then, in a burst of orange and black, it streaked across the floor, pounced on the toy, shook it violently, and trotted back to drop it at Willa's feet. "Fetch," Willa said proudly. "I taught him fetch." "You taught an apex predator retrieval behavior," Kres-vel said faintly. "You have weaponized it. I've enriched his play behaviors." Kito sat down, tail swishing, waiting for another throw. When Willa tossed the toy again, the cub exploded into motion. This time it jumped, twisted in midair, caught the toy, and landed with perfect balance. Kres-vel's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Aerial assault capabilities already emerging. Or he's just athletic. Willa, on Earth, tigers hunt by. "I know how tigers hunt," Willa interrupted. "I did research. Solitary ambush predators, powerful jaws, excellent swimmers. I read all about it. And you still kept it. Him, and yes." Willa picked up Kito, who immediately began purring and rubbing his face against her chin, because someone needed to. Kres-vel watched the tiny predator mark the human with its scent glands, establishing ownership in the most blatant biological display possible, and felt his antennae droop with the weight of inevitable catastrophe. "I am scheduling a follow-up inspection for tomorrow," he said, "and I am requesting a consultation with medical about vaccination protocols, dietary requirements, and emergency sedation procedures." "He doesn't need sedation. I need sedation, for myself, preventatively." Willa laughed. Kito chose that moment to spot Kres-vel's twitching antennae again. Kres-vel fled before the cub could achieve takeoff velocity. 3 weeks later, Kres-vel's worst predictions were coming true at an accelerated rate that defied several laws of biology. Kito had doubled in size. "This is normal," Willa said, holding the now 6-kilogram cub in both arms. Kito's legs dangled past her elbows. His paws were disproportionately large, like someone had attached adult tiger feet to a juvenile body. "Growth spurts. All babies have them. Standard mammalian infants do not gain 3 kilograms in 21 days, Kres-vel said. His antennae were in a permanent state of distress, droop. "At this rate, he will reach adult mass in 7 months. "You're exaggerating." Kres-vel pulled up his datapad, showing her the growth chart he'd been meticulously maintaining. The line went up at a 45-degree angle. "I am extrapolating from documented evidence." Kito yawned, showing teeth that were no longer needle-sized. They were now small blade-sized. The cub stretched in Willa's arms, all 4 paws extending, claws out. One claw caught the fabric of her jumpsuit and tore a clean line through it. "Oops," Willa said. "He didn't mean to. His claws are retractable. That was intentional fabric testing. He's teething. He is weapon development." Willa set Kito down. The cub immediately began stalking Kres-vel's tail, which had developed a nervous twitch over the past weeks. Kres-vel pulled his tail close and coiled it protectively around his leg. "We need to discuss dietary requirements," Kres-vel said, consulting his notes. "You have been feeding him standard protein rations. He likes them. He is an obligate carnivore from a death world. His nutritional needs are not being met by processed supplements." Kres-vel's chitin darkened. "We need to consult medical, immediately." Willa's expression shifted to concern. "Is he sick?" "No, but he will be if..." Kres-vel stopped. Willa's genuine worry for the creature's well-being was derailing his safety lecture. "Medical consultation. Now, bring the predator." Dr. Shenix, a mantis-like insectoid from the Thry species, examined Kito with 2 of her 4 specialized medical appendages, while Willa hovered anxiously and Kres-vel maintained a safe distance of 3 meters. "Fascinating specimen," Shenix said, her triangular head tilting as she chucked Kito's teeth. The cub bit down on her examination tool. She didn't seem bothered. "Excellent jaw strength for developmental stage. Cardiovascular system robust. Neural development accelerated." "But he's healthy?" Willa asked. "Extremely." Shenix picked up Kito, who dangled from her grip like a fuzzy orange sausage. "However, Officer Kres-vel is correct about dietary deficiency. This juvenile requires raw protein sources. Processed rations lack essential amino acids for Panthera tigris development." "Raw protein?" Willa repeated slowly. "Flesh," Kres-vel clarified. "He needs flesh. I can replicate." "Fresh is preferable," Shenix interrupted. "Replication loses micronutrient complexity. I recommend Station Commissary arrange fresh protein delivery. Beef analog, fish analog, poultry analog." She set Kito on the examination table. "Approximately 2 kilograms daily at current mass. Will increase as he grows." Willa's eyes widened. 2 kilograms? That's more than half his body weight, Kres-vel finished. "Because he is a growing death machine that converts meat into muscle at alarming efficiency." Shenix pulled up a holographic display showing Kito's projected growth curve. "Based on current development rate, this specimen will reach approximately 280 kilograms at full maturity, perhaps 300 if nutritional needs are optimally met." The hologram showed an adult Earth tiger. It was enormous. The size reference human next to it barely reached its shoulder. Willa stared at the projection. Kito mewed and tried to eat the hologram. That cannot be accurate, Willa said weakly. Cross-referenced with Earth biological databases, Shenix confirmed. Panthera tigris altaica, Siberian tiger subspecies based on stripe pattern analysis and paw size, largest of Earth tiger variants. Kres-vel's antennae had gone completely rigid. You found the largest possible version. I didn't know there were size options, Willa protested. Kito, bored with the hologram, jumped off the table and began investigating medical equipment. He batted at a tray of instruments, sending a scanner clattering across the floor, then pounced on it with delighted chirps. Behavioral assessment, Shenix continued, watching Kito attack the scanner. Prey drive fully developed, hunting instinct advanced, social bonding. Dodge, she paused as Kito abandoned the scanner and trotted over to Willa, rubbing against her legs and purring. Imprinted on human. Considers Technician Willa primary social unit. He loves me, Willa said, reaching down to scratch behind Kito's ears. He has categorized you as family group, Shenix corrected. Current size differential prevents predation instinct. As he matures, this may become complicated. May? Kres-vel's voice went up an octave. Tigers have been documented cohabitating with humans on Earth for centuries, Shenix said. Domestication not typical, but bonding possible with early imprinting. However, she fixed Willa with her large compound eyes. You must establish behavioral boundaries now. Dominance hierarchy, feeding protocols, territory designation. He must understand human pack position. I'm not going to dominate him, Willa said. He's not a threat. Kito chose that moment to grab Kres-vel's tail in his jaws and shake it. Kres-vel yelped and scrambled onto the examination table. Current threat level minimal, Shenix observed clinically. Future threat level significant. The feeding situation became immediately problematic. Station commissary, upon receiving a request for 2 kilograms of raw meat daily, sent back a message consisting entirely of question marks. Willa stood in Kres-vel's security office. Kito draped over her shoulders. He was getting too big for this but refused to acknowledge it, while Kres-vel attempted to navigate bureaucratic channels. They are asking for requisition justification, Kres-vel said, his mandibles clicking as he read the response. Budget code, department authorization, species designation. Tell them it's for a tiger, Kres-vel typed, paused, read the response. His chitin darkened. They think I am making a joke. Show them a picture. Kres-vel attached an image of Kito, sent it. They waited. The response came back, very funny. What do you actually need meat for? They think he is a rendering error, Kres-vel said faintly. Willa lifted Kito off her shoulders and set him on Kres-vel's desk. The cub immediately began investigating everything, knocking over a container of writing implements and batting a data pad toward the edge. He is real, Willa called toward the communicator. Very real, very hungry. Kito punctuated this by trying to bite the communicator. After 45 minutes of escalating explanations, 3 video calls, and 1 incident where Kito ate part of a requisition form, Commissary agreed to provide fresh protein rations pending approval from Station Command. Commander Thesic wants to see us, Kres-vel said, reading the latest message. His antennae drooped, immediately, with the specimen. Kito, Willa corrected. His name is Kito. Commander Thesic will refer to him as unauthorized biological entity 77 Alpha. We'll see about that. Commander Thesic was a serpent morph from the scaled Covenant worlds, 12 feet of coiled muscle, 4 arms, hood that flared when annoyed, and a forked tongue that flickered with skepticism. Her office was large, dominated by a viewport showing the stellar drift, with an imposing desk that Thesic's coiled body wrapped around like a throne. Willa entered carrying Kito. Kres-vel followed at a distance, his tail coiled so tight it hurt. Thesic's 4 eyes fixed on the orange and black bundle in Willa's arms. Her hood flared slightly. Explain, Thesic said, her voice a sibilant hiss. Willa launched into the rescue story dumpster, abandonment, tiny paw, grabbed finger, never let go. She emphasized Kito's sweetness, his playfulness, his obvious need for protection. Kito, reading the room with predator instinct, made his eyes as large as possible and did a tiny mew. Thesic's tongue flickered. Earth Tiger. Panthera tigris. Apex predator. 300 kilogram adult mass. Bite force 1300 CSI. Documented human fatalities in the thousands. That's wild tigers, Willa said. Kito is domesticated. You have had him 3 weeks. 3.5, Willa corrected. And he's never attacked anyone. Kres-vel's antennae shot up. He attacks me daily. Playing, Willa insisted. Thesic uncoiled slightly, her body flowing across the desk to get a closer look at Kito. The cub watched her with interest, head tilting. Thesic was closer to his size than most station residents. Possibly this registered as a playmate. Dietary requirements excessive, Thesic said. Housing inadequate. Safety protocols non-existent. Behavioral unpredictability severe. I should order him removed. Willa's face fell. She clutched Kito closer. The cub, feeling her distress, made a small questioning sound and rubbed his face against her chin. Thosick watched this. Her hood relaxed fractionally. However, the commander continued, station regulations do permit exotic fauna with proper licensing and containment. You will need Class 4 habitat certification, daily behavioral monitoring, emergency response training, liability insurance. I'll do anything, Willa said. You will also need a designated safety supervisor, someone responsible, level-headed, experienced with protocol compliance. Kres-vel's antennae went rigid with horrified understanding. Officer Kres-vel, Thesic said, turning her four-eyed gaze on him. You have been conducting informal safety assessments already, yes? Informal, Kres-vel managed. Very informal, mostly running away. Then you have practical experience. I am assigning you formal supervisory duty. You will monitor the creature's development, ensure compliance with all safety protocols, and report any incidents immediately. Commander, I protest, noted and dismissed. You are the logical choice. You have already survived 3 weeks. Barely, Kres-vel muttered. Kito, as if understanding he had just won something, purred triumphantly. Thesic's hood flared again. One condition. The creature attends station integration protocol, socialization training. He must learn to coexist with multiple species without predation attempts. He doesn't predate, Willa started. As if on cue, Kito spotted Thesic's tail moving across the desk. The serpentine appendage flickered like the galaxy's most interesting toy. Kito's body went very still, his pupils dilated, his haunches raised slightly. Willa, Kres-vel said quietly. Hold him, he's just... Kito pounced. What happened next occurred in approximately 4 seconds but felt much longer. Kito launched himself at Thesic's tail. Thesic, with reflexes honed by millennia of serpent evolution, whipped her tail away. Kito overshot, sailed over the desk, crashed into a decorative plant, ricocheted off the viewport, landed on Thesic's chair, and immediately began attacking the seat cushion like it had personally wronged him. Thesic watched this with all 4 eyes. Willa scrambled to retrieve Kito, apologizing profusely. Kres-vel had backed into a corner and was making a chittering sound that might have been praying. Thesic's hood fully extended. Her tongue flickered rapidly. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she started laughing, a hissing, sibilant sound that filled the office. 300 kilograms of that, Thesic managed between laughs. Station life just became significantly more interesting. She coiled back around her desk, still chuckling. Approved, conditionally. Officer Kres-vel, you have your assignment. Technician Willa, you have your permissions. And this station has its first Earth Tiger. I expect detailed incident reports. There won't be incidents, Willa promised. Kito, still in her arms, burped and then tried to eat her collar. Kres-vel's chitin had gone completely black. 2 months later, Kito weighed 23 kilograms and had developed what Kres-vel called catastrophic momentum. The incident at Station Integration Protocol had become legendary. They were in Conference Room 12, multi-species gathering meant to acclimate Kito to different aliens. There were 6 species present, Kres-vel and another Skrix, Thesic, 2 crystalline Thari who chimed nervously, and 3 avian delegates whose crests kept rising in alarm. Willa had Kito on a harness, for safety. Though the harness was rated for 15 kilograms and Kito was rapidly exceeding that. Everyone stay calm, Willa said. He's friendly. Kito sat beside her, tail swishing, watching the assembled aliens with intense focus. He had learned that different species moved in different ways. The Thari chimed when they walked. The avians' crests made fascinating movement. Thesic's tail was the ultimate forbidden toy. Begin socialization protocol, Kres-vel said, consulting his datapad. Phase 1, visual familiarization. Everyone remained still. This lasted approximately 10 seconds. One of the Thari shifted position. Their crystalline body chimed softly. Kito's ears rotated forward. Don't move, Kres-vel whispered. The Thari, not understanding Earth predator body language, took a step. Chime. Kito's pupils went huge. Willa, Kres-vel said. Secure the... Kito exploded forward. The harness snapped. 23 kilograms of orange and black chaos streaked across the conference room. The Thari shrieked, a crystal-ringing sound, and ran. This was exactly wrong. Running triggered every chase instinct Kito possessed. What followed was bedlam. Kito chased the Thari around the conference table. The Thari, panicking, jumped onto a chair. Kito jumped after them. The chair tipped over. Both of them crashed into Thesic, who had been calmly observing. Thesic's tail lashed out reflexively, which Kito immediately attacked. Thesic hissed and coiled away. Kito pursued. The avians took flight, except they were inside and conference rooms had low ceilings. One of them crashed into a light fixture. Sparks rained down. Kito, delighted by this new development, began jumping at the falling sparks. Kres-vel tried to grab Kito and got tackled instead. They rolled across the floor in a tangle of chitin and fur and clicking mandibles. Willa dove for Kito and missed, sliding under the conference table. The second Skrik sprayed defensive pheromones. This made everything smell terrible and did nothing to slow Kito down. In the chaos, Kito somehow ended up on top of the conference table, crouched in the center like an orange and black gargoyle, surveying the destruction with obvious pride. "Down," Willa commanded, crawling out from under the table. Kito looked at her, looked at the panicked aliens, looked back at Willa, then he flopped onto his side and began grooming himself as if nothing had happened. The room slowly stopped spinning. Kres-vel extracted himself from the corner he'd wedged into, antennae hanging limp. Thesek's hood was fully extended in offense. The Theri were huddled together, chiming distress. The avians had all pressed themselves against the ceiling somehow. "Socialization protocol," Kres-vel said faintly, "requires revision." But then, 1 week later, Kito accidentally saved the station. It happened during a routine docking procedure. A cargo vessel called Merchant Wind had clearance to dock at Bay 7. Thesek was in the command center. Kres-vel was running security checks. Willa was in her quarters with Kito, who was now too large to comfortably fit on her shoulders but kept trying anyway. The cargo vessel docked normally. Automated scans showed nothing unusual. The cargo manifest listed standard supplies, food shipments, medical supplies, replacement parts. What the scans missed, because it was shielded in very illegal ways, was a stolen quantum core. The crew of Merchant Wind were thieves. They had planned to use the station as a temporary hiding spot, dock for a few hours, blend in with regular traffic, and depart before anyone noticed the hot merchandise in their hold. They had not planned on Kito. Willa, bored and thinking Kito needed exercise, decided to take him for a walk through the station. She had fabricated a stronger harness. Kito wore it with obvious offense but tolerated it because Willa gave him treats. They happened to be passing Base 7 when the Merchant Wind crew began moving their shielded cargo. Kito smelled something, his body went rigid, his ears pinned back. A low growl started in his chest, not playful, not the small rumbles he made during rough housing. This was deep, resonant, predatory. "What's wrong, buddy?" Willa asked. Kito pulled toward the bay. Willa, curious and not understanding prey drive escalation, followed. The cargo bay doors were open. 3 crew members, 2 humans, 1 scale morph, were moving a large shielded container onto a gravity sled. Kito's growl intensified. One of the human crew members looked up, saw a woman with what appeared to be a very large orange cat, and went back to work. Then Kito roared. It wasn't a full adult tiger roar. He was only 4 months old. But it was loud enough to echo through the bay, loud enough to trigger every prey species instinct in a 500-meter radius. Loud enough that station security alarm started going off because the audio sensors thought there was a hull breach. The crew members froze. Kito, no longer restrained by playfulness, pulled so hard the harness tore. He charged. 23 kilograms of juvenile apex predator hit the nearest crew member, one of the humans, at full velocity. They went down. Kito stood on their chests, roaring in their face, all teeth visible. The other 2 crew members ran. Station security arrived 90 seconds later to find Willa trying to pull Kito off the terrified thief, while the tiger cub refused to let go, growling possessively like he'd caught the universe's best prey. The shielded container turned out to contain a stolen quantum core worth 6 million credits. The Merchant Wind crew were wanted in 4 sectors. Kito had accidentally stopped a major theft operation by attacking the people who, according to later testimony, smelled wrong. Commander Thesek personally commended Kito in a station-wide announcement. Kres-vel filed 17 new incident reports, but also submitted a recommendation for Civilian Service Award. Willa was so proud she cried. Kito got extra meat rations and a new harness rated for 50 kilograms. 3 months after that, Kito was 38 kilograms of teenage tiger, still growing, still chaos, but also, somehow, part of the station. Crew members had stopped panicking when they saw him in the corridors. They had learned his walking schedule. They gave him space. Some of the braver souls even brought him treats, usually against regulations, but Thesek pretended not to notice. Kres-vel's antennae had developed a permanent stress droop, but he had also, somehow, become attached to the death beast. He would never admit it. But when Kito napped in the security office, which happened frequently because Willa worked nearby, Kres-vel would quietly do his reports while the giant orange cat purred like a malfunctioning engine. Willa had gotten her Class 4 habitat certification. Kito's quarters were now reinforced with proper environmental controls, feeding stations, and what the manual called enrichment structures, but everyone else called things for him to destroy. He was still a menace, still attacked Kres-vel's tail every single day, still made the Thari chime in terror, still tried to eat things that weren't food. But when Willa sat in her quarters at night, Kito's enormous head resting in her lap while she scratched behind his ears. She remembered that tiny paw reaching out from the dumpster. Remembered how his claws had grabbed her finger and refused to let go. "Best decision I ever made," she whispered. Kito purred and tried to bite her thumb. Some things never changed.